The SIG session, these special interest group sessions, are a new addition to campus technology. So to some extent, we're going to be finding our way today during this session. As feedback from the last campus technology meeting, there was a request to have these special interest groups gatherings. And there was a framework laid out for kind of creating 3 or 4 categories of them, and for the categories to speak generically to emerging trends, networking, and various and assorted other areas of information technology in its entirety. And I've been asked to lead this networkers group, and I'm going to make my way with this session based on my assumptions of kind of the things we hope to accomplish. So I'm Ed Chappell. I'm the CIO at Montclair State University, which is in northern New Jersey, a regional public institution with somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 21,000 students enrolled. And we've been around for about 135 years. We have a campus environment that presents all sorts of infrastructural and networking challenges. I'm happy to be able to deal with this networking and infrastructure topic for 2 reasons. One is we have just completed our due diligence for a wholesale replacement of our wired and our wireless networking infrastructure for the institution, so it's all current, near, and dear to my heart. I have to confess that as a CIO, I'm kind of about the budget and the management. If you asked me to configure a switch, you could hold a gun to my head and I would not be able to do that, so, full disclosure. But I think that that's no reason why we can't engage in a very, very productive conversation. Now, on the matter of the SIG, if you were to have read the program, it's a 30-minute session, which is not very long, and its primary goal is networking among the attendees. So if I was to think about the things we're going to try and accomplish at this meeting today, one of them is to meet the other attendees of similar interests, and if things go very well, we might begin to form for campus technology a true community of interest. And it can take on a level of formality or informality, meaning you can all exchange your business cards and we're done, or you can set up a protocol where I'll have you contact me and I'll actually establish an ongoing community of interest relationship from this day forward. The other piece is that we can foster some shared resources. That is to say, whatever it is each of you is doing with networking and technology at your own campuses, we might be able to share thoughts and ideas about that. It's an opportunity to develop some professional contacts. And this is my own language. It's kind of a sanity check. I have this short list of, I'm going to get off this thing. I'll get off in a minute. There's only one other slide, and then we're pretty much done. I like to have a short list of professional folks in various categories of the IT area that I call to just run through what I'm thinking of doing before I pull the trigger on it. So one of the great benefits of having a group like this start to form is if you don't have such a network of contacts, it's a good place to build one. And then I kind of just set the table for what we'd like to discuss today, and you'll notice that I had an idea late in the game, so I've run over the margin. I didn't change the size of the text. There's one slide which is our wrap-up slide, but this really is where I just want to be, and now I want to get off this podium. The thing I'd like us to do in this room is to actually introduce ourselves and speak to what it is we'd want to accomplish here, why we're here, what our priorities are, and then kind of do it in the context of this is the short list for me. There may be many, many other things on your minds, but as I was putting together our infrastructure and network plans, I was just thinking about the mega trends, the big things that Gartner and everything you get in your email till you're ready to die comes through. You know, social media, Internet of Things, cloud. To me, we're running a broadcast and video, a new college of communications and media. So I'm suddenly dealing with massive quantities of high-density video. Our School of Science and Math is very much now into cyber infrastructure and large capacity computing, so I have to provision for those things. Security, you know, where do you begin? So I think we can have a rich and long, we could have a 3-day discussion just on it. And then lastly, there's a lot of churn right now around next-gen Wi-Fi, AC, when do you upgrade, do you need 1 wire or 2 wires, and so on and so forth. So that was my short list, and what I thought we would do is, for myself, I've already introduced myself, who I am, what I do, and pertinent to this discussion, I'm in the middle of a massive ERP system replacement. We're going for all kinds of software as a service relationships, as well as managed services, as well as locally hosted services. We're replacing our entire network, wired and wireless. And what that really means from an infrastructure and capacity planning point of view is I really had to do a tremendous amount of thinking and planning to put in place a backbone and an infrastructure and an environment that would meet very changing needs. This, you know, one of the little recognized realities is as you get into the SaaS practice, that starts to hit your edge in a very, very big way, and you got to provision for that. And also, you need to contemplate the next gen and the scalability of what you're putting into place. So the core build out, and I went with a full Cisco solution for reasons I'll talk about in the context of our discussion. However, the thing that was most important to me is that whatever core I built had a tremendous amount of scalability and capacity, so I could add cards until I can get, 100 gig is coming our way through Internet 2 at a very affordable price very soon. So, 100 gig, you got to have the backbone to accommodate it. So our build out really contemplated our growing to at least 100 gig backbone over the next 4 or 5 years. So that's me, and if you don't mind, I generally don't like when I'm in a presentation and somebody spends time going around the room and asking everybody to reveal themselves and what's on their mind, but that's really the purpose of this session. So, if you wouldn't mind.
My name is Jonathan Winters. I work for NYU Steinhardt School of Education, etc. My name is Jonathan.
It's a trick mic. Yeah.
Hello. Oh, there we go. My name is Jonathan Winters. I work for NYU Steinhardt, predominantly a school of education, but we have tons and tons of other departments that kind of fall under our purview. I can't even describe my responsibilities. They're kind of very vast, but I'm sort of the hardware and service side of tech for our school. I've been doing some Hyper-V infrastructure and storage solutions for our faculty and researchers. We don't really deal with the students that much. It's all provided essentially through NYU. What I'd like to get out of this information session is kind of see what everyone else is doing in the field. It was interesting in the last SIG that I went to, someone kind of hammered home the centralization point, which is kind of counter what everything at NYU is. So actually, I think you were in it. Did you say that, or was it the vendor that said? I think it was the vendor. Yeah, so centralization to me is key, but it's in our organization it's very difficult just because we're a giant school of so many disparate interests, and I can get into the bureaucracy and whatnot, but I'm sure you guys have all faced similar issues, and I'm happy to discuss that with you guys on one-offs, or if you do have questions, feel free to ask. So nice to meet you, everyone.
Derek Lustig, I'm a Director of Network and Systems Infrastructure at Hobart and William Smith Colleges. So we deal with a lot of things that are unseen, in our college, and for us, it's trying to always communicate the utility and value of some very important assets that we bring to the campus and how to manage that. So being here and meeting everyone and having these connections to better understand our issues that we face, I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Ian Perry, coming from Hillel Academy in Jamaica. We're at K-12 school, and I am basically here to see what you guys are doing and to learn more, so I can implement that in my school, because we're trying to be the leaders in private institution in Jamaica, and I am currently doing a lot of things where technology is concerned. We're moving to a Boyd system coming September. So I want to see basically what you guys are doing and the challenges that you face, so I know what to look forward to and how to basically alleviate those challenges. So that's what I'm hoping that I can take from this session. Thank you.
I'm Tony Russo. I'm the IT director at New England College of Optometry. It's a small graduate school, about 600 students. Currently, we're in a $500,000 project to rebuild all the lecture halls. So that's taken the grand part of our time. I think what I'd like to get out of this is people that are in the same kind of situation I am, where we're in a 125-year-old building and trying to do any kind of upgrade or any kind of movement there is pretty impossible, because we have to deal with the Back Bay society on what the building outside should look like, what the building inside should look like, and there's a lot of politics that go on that make it difficult. And how we bridge the gap between student, faculty, staff, and administration, because that's really my biggest frustration.
My name is Shanna Hoy. I work at a high school in Arizona in the CTE department. I'm the only IT tech in the CTE department, and Arizona just passed a new tax, so we have lots of money, and I've bought a lot of computers, and now I have to put them all out in the classrooms. 10 labs, and it's been a very challenging summer. I've learned a lot. I'm brand new in the field. I just got my degree, so this is my first IT job, and I'm here hoping to learn as much as I can, meet mentors, and just get as much out of it as I can. So far, so good. It's been great.
My name is Nick Bratton. I work on the project management team for Southern New Hampshire University. Our team's macro project at the moment is implementing workflow software to help streamline our course development process and improve efficiencies where we can. This is a pretty big undertaking for where I'm at this point in my career, and there have been moments of big wins and there have been moments of complete confusion, and I'm hoping to learn from others' successes and failures to hopefully be successful with this project as possible.
Aloha, I'm Cindy Tudor from BYU, Hawaii. Your list looks just like my list there. We recently completed a replacement of all our tech classrooms, and in the process I just felt like that we were missing some opportunities for doing wireless projection or WiDi. And but it's just not out there. I'm trying to see what our next replacement would look like, investigating, even though that'll be several years down the road. I'm also extremely, because of that, interested in the 802.11ac. So, thanks.
Great.
Hi, my name is Pete Haggerty. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I'm with Dumbarton Oaks. I'm the network administrator for Dumbarton Oaks, which is a Harvard affiliate. And our biggest project right now is we're replacing our wired and wired networks with a Cisco solution in an environment where there are old buildings, and we do have the same thing that this gentleman said. We have neighborhood groups who you can't do anything with the architecture, and so we're dealing with that. But we hope to have that done this summer.
Hi, my name is Brad Coons. I work for Oregon Episcopal School, which is a K through 12 independent school in Portland, Oregon. Director of IT. We were in the process of putting in a new wireless system this summer, about midway through the process. Did quite a bit of research on that and came up with, ended up with a Aruba solution. And we are installing AC at this time too. But, you know, looking forward, do we have the bandwidth internally, externally to deal with a lot of software as service? We're a Google Apps school, so there's a lot of traffic in and out on our network. But yeah, just looking for collaboration on future planning.
Mike Vanderleck. I'm the technical director for State Fair Community College in Sedalia, Missouri. We have a similar list. My big thing is bandwidth consumption and infrastructure, specifically Wi-Fi. We are under $1 million upgrade right now. I'm in charge of that, so I'm interested in hearing any feedback that you guys have. So.
Hi, I'm Franny Kelly. I work for John Wiley & Sons, publisher. I head up their ebook strategy. In addition to that, we have products like Wiley Plus and a new product coming out called Learning Space that integrate with Blackboard, other LMSs. Our biggest issue is to try to get you the content, get it so it does not take up too much space, and to keep it stable.
Hello. My name is Doug Goins. I'm from the Georgia Institute of Technology Library. I'm the head of library IT, and I'm actually here with Evans. She's in the central IT and is embedded in the library for library support. And kind of one of the big challenges we're looking at right now is there's a couple of things. There's a collaboration partnership kind of forming between the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, Ed Tech, Central IT, and the library. And then there's renovation of the actual library facilities to actually totally reimagine what that is. And the vision there is, and I guess to sum up, is going to be really a lot of reliance on technology, rich technology spaces, particularly for learning. Learning excellence is the theme. And so everything that flows off of that, from infrastructure to services and even application development, and also research data. That's another thing that we're trying to tackle, and how to curate that and store that, and that gets into large data needs. So.
Hi, Dave Valentine. I'm the Director of IT at Mount Ida College, small college here in the Boston area, 1,200, 1,300 students. I've only been in the role 2.5 years now. It's my first higher ed, so it's definitely an eye-opener. We're coming out of a period where there was very little investment in the college, so we started to spend money. We redid the Wi-Fi. We got off of our internal exchange system, went to our Office 365. Several projects like that where we're kind of getting out from under a backlog, replacing machines and network switches. So I'm just here trying to find out what other directors of IT and what other things are going on.
I'm Patricia Otani from Northwestern University at the School of Continuing Studies, and I'm a multimedia developer. Currently, I'm not, my department's not directly involved with IT, but we do deal with course design. And the biggest challenge that our university is experiencing right now is our conversion to Canvas from Blackboard. So at this period of time, we're really exploring new technologies, and we are experimenting with new tools that students and faculty can use. So I'm just kind of here trying to figure out what any other schools learning, what's working, what's not working. So that's currently our biggest challenge as of yet. I mean, we're getting good positive feedback from our faculty And we're trying to find other media solutions, whether it's going to be on-site or cloud services to deliver video content. So.
I'm Tim Kirk. I'm the CIO at South Arkansas Community College. In addition to the list that you see behind my back, our institution has the things you would expect. We're a state institution, so we're funded at 73% of formula. Half of the city of El Dorado qualifies as impoverished. 1 in 3 students in 1 in 3 children in Arkansas lives below the poverty line. The rural divide is real. My president, who lives 5 minutes off campus, the best she can do is cellular. We're in the middle of an ERP upgrade. We have managed to rebuild our network. We went from Cisco to Enterasys for a couple of reasons a small college can talk about. I'm the only person in my IT shop who was not on-the-job trained. Salaries do not permit me to attract people. As the CIO, I'm the guy who had to address, we discovered this year that yes, the Chinese need online network storage just as bad as you do, because we actually had somebody use the back end of one of our boxes and we're sending stuff off to China. So that just because you're small and rural doesn't mean that they're not going to hit you. But one of the challenges is I'm the IT guy. I was the guy who had to deal with the Chinese hackers. I was also the guy who asked to sit on the president's cabinet. Since coming to South Ark, I've been there 8 years. I'm on my 3rd president, my 3rd provost, my 3rd vice president for finance and administration, and my 2nd vice president for student affairs. So it is interesting when the IT guy is the memory of the institution, and I've only been there 8 years.
And we have one more guest who joined us. The agenda is to lay your heart on the line and tell us about all your suffering.
John LaPrade. I'm from Saginaw State University in Saginaw, Michigan, and we're about a 10,000 student institution, kind of rural, mostly commuter students. I'm the manager of technology services. We support everything from the servers to the desktops, except the classroom technology, because that's a different group for historical reasons, I guess. And we're just starting. We kind of did a study, did an 8-year networking plan. You know, sort of, you know, everything from 3 years out is pretty fuzzy, but that's what the our vice president of business services, that's what he wanted, was 8 years, so that's what we gave him. But we're just starting to implement that. We're implementing, you know, we're upgrading wireless across campus to AC. We're changing our network core around. We're going, you know, we're supporting 10 gig everywhere, but with the ability to scale up should that be necessary in the future. So it's kind of where we are.
Great. So, you know, what was my fear with this session is that if it was well attended, and it is, we would use up most of the time revealing the things we'd like to spend time talking about. This only goes until 11:15. I did summarize, and I do think we can realize value out of this gathering. The themes that came out from everybody's discussions was, and one I had not added, but one I'm particularly interested in, is how any among us are utilizing our regional networks. There are state and regional networks that interconnect many parts of a state, education and sometimes others as well. And I'm particularly interested in how we use state and regional networks, the need for video repositories, digital repositories. The state that I'm in, we actually developed these as a statewide service for the institutions to join. And if you want to talk later, the video service, NJVid, is something we offer services to 4 other states in the nation with. And it's a very, very robust video service. Centralization versus decentralization of IT services and infrastructure development and management. Assessing the utility value of IT. I don't know if that includes ROI or not, but I think it's a theme that I certainly get hit with, and the middle state standards and various mandated standards on return on investment. We're being asked to show ROI in my area for everything we do now. Rebuilding classroom facilities was a theme that came up around the room, and everybody's looking for the strategies to rebuild them and to leverage network, and most especially wireless and its promise, and it's never quite there. And I think that this warrants a great deal of further discussion, because you put up a brand new building, and I've been responsible for seeing the provisioning of AV and infrastructure in 7 buildings over the last 4 years, very big buildings, and each one of them is rapidly becoming out of date because you're always 2 years too early or thereabouts. High school IT and how to deploy and support infrastructure. I definitely want your card because I'm on the board of a high school, and I work with a guy in a very similar situation, and this is a person, if you interacted with him, he could be immensely helpful. Workflow development for software. Classroom tech and ops for, and I lost the thought, it was high-end computing, I think, or high-end video services. Replacing wired and wireless networks, and you no sooner finish and you're doing it again. I had a Meru infrastructure deployed across the entire campus. Tremendous promise on paper. It did not scale to the environments we were working with. Wonderful company, dedicated to service beyond belief, but it really just doesn't work as advertised for higher ed environments. And if you're going to go Meru, you have to think through exactly how you're going to deploy it, because it's a very tricky business. Bandwidth consumption and infrastructure provisioning in the general way, which I married to this last one that came up, IT strategic planning, and what's the right way to go about doing that? What are the time frames, the schedules? What do you manage fleet-like? What do you manage on an as-needed and use case basis? Ebook strategy and content delivery. I think this comes under that whole general category of so much of what we're doing in our classrooms is visiting us from the outside now. So how do we access it, aggregate it, and redistribute it and manage it? Library support and this notion of a cross-operational creative library undertaking. That's the stuff of about 19 meetings in its own right. And then reporting lines. How many report to the president? To the provost? To the CIO? To the CFO? To the COO? And I'm sure there are other variations out there as well. To whom? Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think digital repositories was kind of subsumed in that. So we've covered the entire gamut. And as our last order of business, I think that the best thing we could do is, number one, everybody in this room who heard from everybody else should exchange their information right now if they feel there's a matter of common interest. I would like to take responsibility for building this community of interest and creating it as a foundation, and then have it grow. And I think it's going to grow and segment into these categories. I'll summarize. Yes, sir.
Can we just do your business cards?
Yeah, yeah.
You can file some?
Sure, you can. But what I'm saying is if you have an urgent need, can exchange with whomever in the room. But if everybody hands me a business card, I will see to building this list. I'll summarize the themes. I'll doodle poll or some such thing. And everybody who wants to participate in themes, we can evolve this into an ongoing sharing group. This was the first of its kind. I'll be interested to see what the other SIGs have done. If nothing else, you can take comfort in the fact that we're all swimming in the same cesspool of problems. There's not enough money. But I will say too that I have never done anything that I've enjoyed as much as doing capacity planning for information technology, and most especially marrying an academic program plan to a technology infrastructure plan. It's really noble work that we do.